So have you asked yourself, what in the world is the burning chair? Let's find out today on the My Bourbon Journey Whiskey Review channel. Let's do this. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for joining me today on the My Bourbon Journey Whiskey Review channel. So we're gonna dive into something that's a little bit new to me, something again I think is gonna be a little bit more unique. So I'm super excited to kind of bring this review to you guys today. So from Savage and Cooke, this is what they're calling the burning chair. So what exactly is the burning chair? This is gonna be a blend of a few different things. So what they do is they start out with 3 different parts of bourbons that are finished in different wine casks. So first up we've got, let's kind of talk a little bit about the proof on this guy before we kind of get into that. So this guy's coming in at 121.2 proof or 60.6% ABV. So we've got really nice cask strength bourbons that are gonna kind of work together here on this blend. So what exactly is the blend? So the blend is gonna be, again, this is 3 parts. So 50% of this blend is bourbons finished in Cabernet barrels. The other 25% is going to be finished in Zinfandel barrels. The remaining 25% is going to be finished in Grenache barrels. So all 3 of those put together kind of compiles the 100% of the blend. So something that's going to be, again, very different and unique. Again, this is a pick that was done from Don's Liquors in Wine out of California. So link in the description below if this is something of interest and you want to make a purchase of this bottle. Age statement, again, non-age stated on this one. And the MSRP on this is going to be right around that $80 price point. I think considering what it ultimately is, may not be a really bad value in today's day and age. So, all right, let's go ahead and get into today's review. Color-wise, as you can see, pretty nice kind of deep, rich kind of copper on that. Slight reddish hue to it, I think from some of those wine barrels that are there. So move the whiskey around in the glass a little bit. Again, really nice oils on that. I believe this is all non-chill filtered or allow for a lot of those fatty acids to kind of remain in the bourbon and hopefully translate over to the palate. So, all right, let's go ahead and get into the nose. Oh boy, so my first thought right away is this nice kind of fruity Jolly Rancher. Not overly sweet, but there's a little bit of that kind of that sweetness that you get when you smell or taste a Jolly Rancher. Yeah, nice fruit. So you got like a little bit of that kind of red raspberry. Maybe even a fresh strawberry note as well. Nice cinnamon notes on that. Maybe even a little bit of like a slight kind of fruity cotton candy as well. And then here's something. So a little bit of like a brown butter. So if you've got, you know, butter in a pan and you're cooking it, as it begins to brown, you've got some of that kind of like richness of that butter that's there. Really nice kind of sweet oak and spice. Really nice layers to this so far. Yeah, that's the one thing I'll say about this as well. You still get that rich, you know, bourbon note that's there. Again, I don't know what the ages are of the bourbons in there, but you're still picking up some of the nuance of that bourbon that's there. So we're dealing with a little bit of MGP stock here as well. Maybe even a slight orange citrus there as well. There's also a little bit of a brightness. So you've got that kind of like fresh citrus note that you're getting there from that orange. Nice kind of like little, almost like a little bit of a mint chocolate on there as well. Even a little bit of a slight black pepper. I think as I kind of nose this a little bit more of that kind of black pepper note has come out. All right, more importantly, let's see how this is going to taste. Cheers. So the one thing I want to emphasize like right away is, again, like I have in a couple of my prior videos, the texture that's there. With these finished bourbons, I think at times the actual bourbon gets lost in the finish. And I think they've done a really nice job of allowing the the bourbon to still shine while those finishes emphasize the kind of the richness and complexity of the bourbon. So to me, it's always a good sign when you've got those two layers that are working together to kind of create this finished bourbon, is that you're still allowing both of them to kind of shine through and kind of work as one. So far, I think just based on that, they've done a nice, really nice job. Yeah, nice spice cake. That black pepper is definitely there. What I would say is it's not quite as sweet on the palate as I was getting on the nose. So if you were a little bit concerned about this being an overly sweet finished bourbon, I don't think it's that. There's still that layered, bourbon complexity that's there. Definitely helps the fact that this was done at barrel strength with those 3 different wine finishes. I think they're all kind of working, very well together. And the fact that they're not all necessarily super sweet wines is really helping to allow the richness to kind of, mingle and kind of coexist with. Yeah, bright fruits, very fresh, nice citrus, maybe even a slight pastry note on that. Definitely you get still some of that Jolly Rancher aspect that's there, but still love the fact that that nice rich bourbon, kind of those caramels and vanillas, nice oak that's there is still kind of shining through. The fruits and the finish part of it is just kind of, being emphasized, with it being there. So maybe even a little bit of like a cocoa. I don't know if necessarily heavier chocolates, but maybe more of like a little bit of like a cocoa powder, something like that. Yeah, and I think as it's kind of sat on the palate, more of that pastry, and it's really honestly more of like a glazed donut that's there. But it's kind of funny. I don't want to make this sound like it's overly sweet. I don't think it's necessarily over that. You're just getting some of those attributes of those things that I've kind of tasted in the past, that you get a little bit of some of those things. But the one thing I want to kind of focus or emphasize is you still have the richness of the bourbons that are there. So it never quite lets you forget that there is some nice bourbon that's in there. Again, I don't know what the ages are, but it's kind of coming through that there's something that's got, I'll say, a little bit of age to it. It's just the finish part is not being buried in there and you're kind of covering up a young whiskey. There's not that at all. I think the Cabernet part of it is shining through slightly more than anything else. You do get a little bit of that dryness that you'll get from like a cab at times. So you do have a little bit of that. I think it also kind of transitions into a little bit more of that black pepper that I was getting on the nose. So I think for this, you get a little bit of that sweetness up front, the layered bourbons that are there, those different finishes. So you've got the Cab, the Zinfandel, and the Grenache, I think are working really well together, in this blend. I think as the finish begins to kind of develop, a little bit more of the Cab part of it comes out, I think, where you get a little more, dryness that's there. But overall, I think they've done a really incredible job, with the blend, of this kind of finished bourbon. So I think they've done a really, really nice job. And again, the finish, I'm going to say, is probably, all of, medium plus. It does kind of continue to linger. The bourbon complexity is still there. You get a little bit of that kind of bright citrus note. Definitely the dark fruits. I mean, those have been there, really throughout. You do still have a little bit of that Jolly Rancher aspect, just the fruitiness that's there. Some black pepper. I think with the dryness, at times I want to kind of include that with more of like a leather and or a tobacco kind of note. I wouldn't say it's like heavy tobacco notes, but there is a little bit of dryness that's there, kind of on the finish. But, overall, it's something that's a little bit different, unique, especially with those 3 different, wine cask finishes that are in this blend. So, my recommendation would be, give this a try. I think this is going to be something a little bit different than what you're probably used to, But I think ultimately, if you are one who enjoys a finished bourbon, I think you'll really enjoy this. There's still enough richness and complexity from the bourbon that's there, just with those finishes, emphasizing, all of that. So it's kind of a nice package, really nice blend, and it's something I think you'll ultimately enjoy. So there you have it. The Burning Chair from Savage and Cooke. But overall, I think, again, the guys over at Don's Liquors and Wine have done a fantastic job. There you have it. Hopefully, if this was something that you were looking for, maybe piqued your interest, I think it's something definitely worth, giving a shot. So thank you so much for watching today's video. Greatly appreciate all of the support. If you'd like to follow me, you can on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, all of those places at My Bourbon Journey. If you'd like to help support the channel, you can through my Patreon page, which I'll have linked in the description below. That also allows you to become part of the Mash and Journey Whiskey Club, where Jason and myself do single barrel picks for our Patreon community only. So thank you guys so much, and remember, it's about the journey and not the destination. Cheers.